All right, guys. So I've got a quick update for you guys on KSoo. Okay, KSoo obviously is the young man who unfortunately got snitched on by his own father. We covered this in a video not too long ago about KSoo's father, Blue, actually taking the stand and identifying him as the alleged shooter in the murder of young man Charles McCormick, went by the name Lil Buck. It was a really sad case. It was a really sad situation that we saw KSoo actually getting snitched on by his own father. But at the same time, there's got to be accountability. And unfortunately, KSoo did end up getting a guilty verdict in his trial. And the sentencing has now dropped and it's not looking good. Okay. So interestingly, before the sentencing was actually handed down, KSoo weirdly was actually spotted rapping. He dropped a little freestyle ahead of the sentencing. And this was going around just a couple of days ago. So it was just 2 days ago that this was going around. KSoo dropped a few bars over the phone before he gets sentenced after being found guilty of capital murder in the death of Charles McCormick. Let's hear what he had to say.
Cold, and they fucked me over, and I swear I can't take no more, cause this shit get real in the afterlife. They want me dead, but they can't afford my life. Put a bag on my head, I'ma up the price. Put a bag on my head, I'ma up the price. Picture me perfect in the booth with the headphones, and I can see dead faces without a headstone, and I don't like to talk to Ace through a jail phone, and I can't feel no more pain, it's like my nerves gone, and every time I just got them shackles, that shit hurt me, and a lot of niggas change in the band to be. I'm a solid lawyer nigga, that's the man to me. Getting cold.
So yeah, he posted that, man. October 1st, the judge is going to sentence me to life like I ain't nobody. Okay, and that is what happened. He was sentenced to life, along with ATK Scotty, life in prison for the murder of Lil Buck. Let's hear the news report.
Both sentenced to life in prison today. This is video showing Hakeem Robinson and Leroy Whitaker in court. Action News Jax first told you in July when both men were found guilty in the shooting death of Charles McCormick Jr., known as Lil Buck. McCormick's mother was there for today's sentencing.
In 1996, a bright light entered the world.
Today, Charles McCormick Jr.'s mother stood in a courtroom and faced the men who killed her son. Her letter to them was read through an advocate.
Today will not erase that hurt, but it brings some kind of relief knowing that these individuals will no longer have the power to take another life.
His mother said Charles's life was lost for saying something that others didn't like. Action News Jax has been following this case since 2020. Investigators found Charles shot to death outside an Arlington shopping center. Investigators said Leroy Whitaker Jr. and Hakeem Robinson killed him over a rap diss track.
As a community, we must take a stand against music and messages that glorify real violence and the loss of innocent lives.
Moments after those words were spoken, both men learned their fate.
Sentence you to the only lawful sentence that this court can impose, and that is mandatory life in prison without the eligibility for parole.
Neither man spoke after hearing their sentence.
Charles's memory will never fade. His light continues to shine throughout the lives he touched and the love he gave and the faith he lived by.
So look, it's not surprising, it's not surprising this outcome. We've seen a lot of situations where people have maybe escaped justice for a period of time, but it was never looking good for KSoo. There was too much evidence, there was too much self-snitching, too much disrespect to these dead rivals to even contemplate the possibility that he was going to beat this thing. And then you got his dad taking the stand. There's really just no way. And a lot of people have been reacting to this over on Reddit. Some people, I don't think anybody is surprised, but I think people are just kind of really feeling this because this really is the conclusion of a long-running story. The whole war in Jacksonville. Obviously, we had Fulio getting murdered. He was a close friend of Bibby, another person who KSoo is accused of murdering, and he's going to be facing that trial soon. I doubt he's going to be very engaged with that trial because at the end of the day, he's already got life without the possibility of parole. What's another life sentence going to do? But this was the reaction on the Duval County subreddit that follows the drill scene in Jacksonville. Both sentences in. Scotty and KSoo both sentenced to mandatory life without parole for the murder of Buck. Okay, and people are basically saying death or jail, street going win. The streets are undefeated. Okay, people saying Scotty was 19 from high school life to life in prison is insane. I don't think they'll genuinely understand how long life is. People saying they don't care. People saying trust they do. They're going to act like they don't, but they do. They're in denial right now. It's going to take a little while to hit, maybe even years, but trust when nobody's looking and they're in themselves by themselves, they're really trying not to cry. People are doing AI images to try and work out what they're going to look like. But I don't know if this is really a joking matter. People saying they knew it was coming. Thanks for the music, KSoo. We'll never see you or Scotty free again. Imagine being sentenced to life without parole and you got another murder case to fight. Dude is just happy he gets to keep his dreads a little longer. People are saying they're getting chopped. He's going to look like Mr. Potato Head. People are saying, y'all YNs have fun, stay in school, get some money, go knock some fine girls down, and then get some more money. It's way more to life than posing with guns and looking for our own kind to gun down. Y'all save your money and take trips, travel the world, and meet business-minded people and soak up game, because this thug life right here, it ain't it no more. The streets are dead. This was literally the only sentence that could have possibly been. Everybody knew it was going to be life, but it just hits different when you actually see it. And he still has to go trial for Bibby. People are saying it's literally no point. I would have just asked for a speedy trial and pled guilty. To be honest, you've already got life without parole. You might as well plead guilty and actually do the right thing. Do the honorable thing as a man and just plead guilty. Save everybody the time and the heartbreak. Look. All right, if he goes not guilty, we're going to get all the sordid details at trial. You know, people are going to make content about it. People are going to get to it. You know, we saw things in this trial with the Lil Buck murder that we hadn't actually seen before. Messages, photos, all types of things. But I feel like KSoo, realistically, if he's smart, he'll actually change his plea, go guilty on Bibby. You know, just avoid any of that information even coming to light and just avoid it all. People are saying that Scotty actually might have turned down a 15-year plea deal. He's going to be regretting that when all their members forget about him. People are saying crazy part is it's literally all KSoo's fault. From the witness testimony, he wanted to get him so bad that he did it in the shopping center instead of following him back to his crib. He's a dumbass. Even was about to shoot at the police and they begged him not to. He is a stupid crash out. Their only redemption is to do everyone a favor and save taxpayer dollars, admit to being a waste of resources and fresh air that could have went to someone more meaningful to society. Come here, boy. I bet he regrets saying that. That was a famous clip of him on Instagram pulling up the gun saying, come here, boy, saying that's what he says to his ops. And people saying they really had the nerve to take it to trial. Plea out of 2 separate cases of first-degree murder as a criminal gang member. What's the judge going to give you? 75 years instead of life? Hey, that still would have been better than life without the possibility of parole. People saying life goes on. F these dumbasses. Worst thing about life in prison is knowing you're never going to have sex again. And they said, caveat, with a female. All right? Still got the Bibby case. I've been rewatching that show called Oz. Ain't nothing worse than prison. Good luck to him. Man, that show Oz is classic. If anyone's ever seen that show Oz, it's a HBO drama set in the prison. It's like The Wire in prison, man. That show is absolutely classic. But people are really just, you know, really dunking on these guys. And rightly so, man. They made terrible decisions. They caused untold pain and hurt to their community, and they do deserve these life sentences. That's the simplest way to say it. It says, damn, they could have been out enjoying life with their rich, famous friend. Instead, they'll be fighting with homemade knives for the rest of their lives. And it's true, man. It's true. It's really sad. You know, I never really wanted to see anybody get hurt over hip-hop music, over drill music. But this is the consequences of drill music. You know, people have tried to paint me as sort of negative for covering these things, but I feel like this is really important. We got to cover the interesting, we got to cover the stories, we got to cover the inspirational as well as the bad. And this is where that drill music gets you. This is where that dissing endlessly. This is where that making fun of your dead enemies gets you. This is where all of that sliding gets you, and it's really not any comfort to me or anybody else to say I told you so, or to say, yeah, this is where that life ends up. We know that's where the life ends up, but hopefully the KSoo story can be a cautionary tale for more young people growing up in Jacksonville to not go down this route. It was all cool when we were doing Who I Smoke and all of that stuff, but I still think it's possible. You never know. Young and Ace could end up catching that RICO case. You know, all of this stuff, it could always go left. There's always just very negative outcomes for this stuff, and it's really not cool. You know, there's only 2 ways that this can work out: dead or in jail, and KSoo is exemplifying that perfectly. You know, his enemies got killed, he's doing life in jail, no chance of parole. But that's the way it's got to. That's the way it's got to go. That's the way that it's got to be. You know, and I just, you know, I pray for the next generation of Jacksonville youths, teens, rappers, all of that stuff. Everyone coming out of Jacksonville and America at large. That just goes to show you this isn't the way, and this is where it ends you up. And, you know, KSoo was talking in the lead up to the sentencing about, or in the lead up to the verdict about discrimination, and he was hard done by the system. I agree. There are socioeconomic reasons why things are the way that they are, and I think it's very unfortunate. A lot of people argued that he was groomed by his father to be a gangster. His father was the one that was pushing him to slide and commit violence and partake in the gang war, and it's just, you know, it doesn't give anyone any comfort, but at the end of the day, his father told on him. His father turned on him and said, look, I'm going to try and set a better example for the rest of my children. And as much as people want to say that that's bad, and look, as a father, he definitely failed. But as a man, for him to be able to take accountability and turn around and say, I'm going to have to save myself to look out for my other children. That's the best of a bad situation. You know, he could have gone down as well and faced life as an accessory with his son. That really wouldn't have helped anybody. That wouldn't have helped the situation. That wouldn't have helped his family. So look, I can't respect it on either side, but at the same time, they're making the best of a bad situation. But yep, that's it, man. It's goodbye to KSoo. Life without the possibility of parole. We won't be seeing or hearing from him too much more after this, I don't think. And it's just another really sad outcome. So I'll keep you guys updated if I have any more information on how the Bibby trial's going. Wouldn't surprise me if he changes his plea to guilty and just says, whatever, just get this thing out of the way. And I think that would be the honorable thing to do. So if that happens, I'll update you guys. I'll keep you guys posted on any more developments going on in the drill space. I just did a big G Herbo update. I did a big live stream today. I forgot to cover this on the live stream. I was a bit tired, but then I had a bit of spare time. So I thought I'd just jump on and make this little update for you guys. But yeah, rest in peace, the little buck, man. It's tragic. There you have it. Life in prison.